I went to my lake cabin to rent it out and found my daughter-in-law's parents moving in with a trailer. They laughed. Our daughter gave us the code. This cabin will be hers anyway. Hours later, I sat in my truck at the end of the driveway and did not move. A white moving trailer was backed up to my garage. A mattress leaned against the wall. Boxes were stacked under my fishing rods. My wife's quilt was already spread across the porch swing like it had always lived there. Her father walked out holding a coffee mug. Not just any mug. My wife's mug. The one with the chipped handle she'd used for 20 years. He raised it toward me like a greeting. "Relax," he called out. "We would have saved you breakfast." I rolled the window down 2 inches. "Why are you in my cabin?" He laughed. The kind of laugh people use when they want your question to sound silly. "Our daughter gave us the code," he said. "This cabin will be hers anyway." I didn't argue. I didn't get out of the truck. I took photos of every vehicle, every plate, the open garage. Then I called the sheriff's office and told them I was the property owner, that I had unauthorized people inside, and that I needed a deputy present before I approached. The dispatcher asked if I was safe. I said yes. She told me to stay in my vehicle, so I stayed. A deputy showed up 11 minutes later. Polite, careful, the kind of tired that comes from hearing every family excuse there is. I gave him my license, the deed on my phone, and the access log showing only my code and my property agents had ever been authorized. We walked up together. There were 7 people inside, not 2. Her father, her mother in a cardigan I recognized as my wife's, a brother, a woman I didn't know, and a teenage nephew with muddy shoes up on my recliner. A stranger stood in my kitchen making a sandwich on my wife's cutting board. This wasn't a weekend visit. This was a move-in. The deputy turned to me. "Did you give any of these individuals permission to enter or stay here?" "No." "Did you authorize anyone else to give permission on your behalf?" "No." Her father pointed at me like I was the one out of line. "His daughter-in-law gave us the code." The deputy looked at him steadily. "Is she the owner?" Silence. "No," I said. "She is not." That was the first time I saw her mother's face change. Not guilt, exactly. Closer to the look of someone watching a plan come apart in real time. They were given 2 hours to load what they'd brought in. I stood on the porch and watched every box go back into that trailer. Nobody said a word to me the whole time. Her father carried the last box out and paused beside me on his way past. "You're making enemies you don't need," he said. I looked at the mug still sitting on the porch rail where I'd told him to set it down. "Put it down and get in your car." He did. By the time the trailer pulled out, my property agent had already called a locksmith. Every exterior lock was changed before dinner. 2 cameras went up before sundown. One on the driveway, one facing the dock. I called my son that night and told him everything. Not with heat, just the facts. The trailer, the 7 people, his mother's cardigan, the sheriff's report, the new locks. "I didn't know," he said. "I believe you. I'm calling her right now." "You will," I said. "But listen to me first. This isn't a fight between you and me. This is me protecting what your mother and I built." "I know." 3 weeks later, my attorney laid out what she'd found. A storage receipt with my cabin as the delivery address. An insurance envelope addressed to her father at my address. A handwritten list behind my printer. Change mailing address, call the electric company, ask about the title timeline. Do not mention to her husband yet. "Your will leaves the cabin to your son outright," she said. "That makes it vulnerable to pressure, to exactly what just happened." I thought about my late wife telling me I was generous with doors, that I left too many of them open. "Then let's build some walls." We put the cabin into a trust that afternoon. No in-law, no spouse, no future relative gets a key without my name on the release. My son still inherits everything, but nothing sits in a drawer waiting for someone else to find a use for it again. My son didn't speak to her parents for a month after that. I never asked him to. He did it on his own, the day he found that storage receipt sitting in our kitchen drawer with the cabin's address printed right on it. That was the moment I knew he finally understood exactly what had almost been taken from us. They never got a new code. Not from him, not from her, not from anyone at all. Not ever.